Hi, and welcome to Kidney Plugged In. April 7th will mark the 5th annual Green Shirt Day, and the Kidney Foundation strongly encourages you to join us on Green Shirt Day to educate and inspire yourself and others to make the gift of life. Helping to highlight the 5th year of Green Shirt Day is a new t-shirt design created by graphic artist Brandy Hehn. Brandy is a 2 separate organ transplant recipient who received both a liver and a kidney. And she's also a long-time organ donation advocate who was personally inspired by Logan Boulet's selfless act of organ donation. Wanting to do more to give back, Brandy designed a new 5-year commemorative t-shirt for Green Shirt Day. Brandy joins us today on Plugged In to talk about this labor of love and share her personal story as a 2-time transplant recipient. So stay with us because you'll meet Brandy next, right here on Kidney Plugged In. April 7th this year will mark the 5th anniversary of Green Shirt Day, where Canadians across the country will be wearing their green in support of organ donation registration awareness and the Logan Boulet effect. One of the new things about Green Shirt Day this year is a 5-year new design for the shirt. And we're really pleased to have joining us today on Plugged In, the creator of the new design, Brandy Hehn. Hi, Brandy.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
And Brandy, you're where? In Regina right now?
Yes, I am.
Can you take us back to the beginning and talk about how it came about that you ended up creating this new t-shirt design?
Absolutely. So last year around February, I had touched base with Toby and Bernie at we had a press conference here in Saskatchewan. It was in February, I believe. That was the first time I had met them in person. We, of course, have talked over the years. And so we got to, kind of talking about after we went for lunch and caught up and everything. And I shared more kind of what I do on a daily basis at work-wise. I'm a brand and creative designer at a company called Hashtag here. So my skills are very much rooted in multimedia design, graphic design for print and digital. And so Toby had kind of asked at that point if I would be interested in kind of helping David Peckham, who's the organizer of Green Shirt Day. It's all volunteer run. So at that time, he's like, okay, so like website stuff and graphics. If we need help with this, would you be able to help out? And I said, absolutely. What happens with most creative types is as soon as there's an opportunity for kind of anything to go like aha moment, especially if you're in branding, marketing, it's what I live and breathe every day. I can't even turn it off. I started that kind of got inputted into my brain, mixed with all the stories that Logan's parents shared about Logan's love for Sidney Crosby and how he always wore this Sidney Crosby shirt that he never wanted to take off. And they were invited out, to watch the Pittsburgh Penguins play. There was that connection and love there. And so, that kind of got input in, I was like, oh, it's 5 years, it's kind of the first Green Shirt Day kind of outside of the whole COVID bubble, and we're getting, kind of back to normal somewhat. And then I thought, there were some things that I had always just personally had wanted to touch on when I talk about Green Shirt Day. And that's how it came after the Humboldt crash, obviously, which was April 6th. And Logan was one of those people on the bus, but, he wasn't the only one that perished. And, Toby and Bernie are, when they're speaking, they want to make, it's very much aware that yes, Green Shirt Day, the day after the crash, is very much about Logan, but it's all about the memory and, not forgetting the crash itself, the impact of the people that were on the bus, those that we lost and those that are still here. They're always quick to acknowledge that, Logan was just one of the stars kind of on that bus. So that's kind of where the idea developed. I was never asked directly or even insinuated, I should say, to create a different design. The design was something that I felt would be a great way for me to kind of give back to Green Shirt Day, to the Boulets for talking about organ donation and all the time that they have spent, reliving that moment. And when I had first met them in February, I have read their story numerous times, but that was the first time I had heard it in person. And when you hear them speak about, coming upon the bus and the crash, it is next level emotion. It's just a very an intense situation. So, what they have continued to do for us is really give us a voice as recipients and people waiting on the donor list, or waiting for a kidney, liver, whatever it might be. They really just shone a light kind of in this like dark little corner, just with them telling their story. So that has always moved me. Whether they use it or not, I want them to know I'm thinking about them. I think about Humboldt, and I'm just really thankful for all that they continue to do. So so it was probably about in the fall of 2022. I had this design pretty much all in my head. I just had to lay it out on the computer. And so I knew that I had wanted to incorporate, and I do have the design with me here. This was my test print once we had it all finished. So here's the design. And of course, there's a yellow star, and there's a star for every person that was on the bus. So that is just taking back to, like, how did this begin? It was Logan, his teammates, friends, mentors, coaches, his trainer, Dana. I never want to say, the boys were on there. Dana was a female, and she was on that bus too. And so that's really the key element, was how can I honor all of the people on the bus, and that was done with the stars. And then of course the background with the triangle, that's for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Logan's love for Sidney Crosby, so we tied that in there. And then of course the hockey sticks. Every year people are putting out sticks on their front porch. If you're a player of hockey, you wrap your stick in green, or you write on the tape. Hockey is obviously like one of the common denominators there of that whole event. So I kind of combined all those elements, and then I wanted to make sure we had the date, which is, April 7th, and the Logan Boulet effect. When Logan decided to become an organ donor, he was inspired by his rugby coach, Rick Stuggett. And then in turn, he told his parents. So it was just kind of like this inspirational chain of like how this all came to be. Like Logan was inspired by somebody, his parents themselves were inspired by Logan at the age of 21, being like, hey, Rick did this, I would like to do that too. And then, from my end, I'm inspired as a recipient who's received, I've received a liver 14 years ago and my kidney 2.5 years ago. It inspired me, to talk about my story from like a recipient perspective. And, after that event, from what they could track, it was over 150,000 Canadians signed up to become organ donors. And when you've been on that list, for me twice now, that is just, it's remarkable to hear, especially when you know how many people have not signed up. So it was really just this like beautiful things. So we always talk about the Logan Boulet effect, and it has so much more meaning than just like, oh, he was an organ donor, I'm an organ donor. It's just inspired so many people to, really rally around this cause.
Join us for this informative webinar from the Kidney Wellness Hub. Doctors Bevilacqua and Borkham will share how making healthy lifestyle choices can positively impact your kidney health. Plus, have your wellness-related questions answered during this live webinar. To register, visit kidneywellnesshub.ca and look for the event on the rotating carousel at the top of the page. I hope to see you there.
Learn everything you need to know at Expo. Save the date for the 2023 Richardson Wealth Kidney March Expo on April 16th in Calgary. And if you're from out of town or unable to attend in person, you'll be able to register to tune in online over Zoom. Expo is our annual spring kickoff event for Kidney March. This information session will equip and inspire you to join Kidney March and complete the life-changing 3-day 100-kilometer journey this September. For all the details, visit kidneymarch.ca. We can't wait to see you there, because failure is not an option.
Brandy, when you finally pulled those design elements together and you saw this t-shirt that you're holding up, what was that emotion like? There had to be pride, all kinds of different emotions.
Doing the design, though, was probably one of the most meaningful things I've ever created. In general, in my day-to-day work and over my career, I have never really worked at a place that where, I don't believe in either the product or service, something that I wouldn't personally stand behind. I'm always want to design with intent and story. I don't usually follow trends or what people are doing or what might be shiny and good in that moment. I'm really into like why that story. And sometimes you just see a simple design, but you may not know. It's like, oh, that was a shape of my kid's favorite toy when they were young. So I really just love meaningful stories behind what seems like just a simple kind of design. So this piece was definitely one of the biggest pieces that came out, I guess, of my little brain. The feedback was great. They were blown away and just absolutely just, completely surprised, and they weren't expecting anything like that. And I gave them, like the rationale behind it. I just wanted to kind of support them, like, hey, we hear you. Thank you for helping get me time back and other people like me with, talking about organ donation. So whether they had wanted to use it or not, wasn't really relevant. I was just like, this is here. Just look, just the thought and just how it all was like packaged together. I guess I wanted a visual thank you for them. From there, we created lawn signs and bumper stickers and a bunch of other things, and a mug. I think I have my mugs back there. And so now it's so nice to see everyone wearing them. And I love that it has a nice hockey vibe, and, it really stands out on shirts and everything. So yeah, I'm really pleased or proud, I guess, just to see everybody wearing them. And I can't wait for Green Shirt Day to see how many people bought the new design, because both are up there. You don't have to buy mine. There's still like the Green Shirt Day logo as well that was somewhat tweaked.
Brandy, what I'm hearing is that this is really a labor of love.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to say it. Yes.
Brandy, we just alluded to, but we really didn't delve into the fact that you yourself are a transplant recipient. Love to touch and talk a bit about your personal journey. Can you stay with us for a few minutes here on Plugged In, and we'll come back and talk about that?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more of Brandy Hehn in just a moment. As April 7th is Good Friday this year, the Green Shirt Day Committee is encouraging businesses and schools to participate from April 3rd to the 6th.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm an education assistant at Better Elementary in Chilliwack. And we'd like to invite you to the Green Shirt Day School Challenge. Green Shirt Day was created 5 years ago to honor Logan Boulet. He was a Humboldt Bronco who passed away and donated his organs and helped save many lives. We support organ donation. Ian received the gift of a new liver at just 8 months old.
Without that gift, I would not be here today.
Today, Ian is a happy, healthy 12-year-old boy. We are forever grateful for the gift of organ donation. So we'd like to issue a challenge to all elementary schools in BC. Take on the Green Shirt Day Challenge. Get involved, win prizes for your classroom or school.
Prizes? How do you win prizes?
Well, the rules are simple. Get your school or classroom doing some type of Green Shirt Day activity on or before April 6, 2023. Any school or classroom that participates will be entered in to win one of 3 $50 chapter gift cards. Just take a picture of your classroom or school's completed Green Shirt Day activity and post it on social media using the hashtag GSD School Challenge. Be creative, keep it simple.
Wear green.
Have your principal or vice principal paint their faces for the day. Paint a picture and help support organ donation. Have fun! Go Green Shirt Day Challenge.
So Brandy, a very interesting thing about you is that you have a personal connection with organ donation and transplantation, because you yourself are a 2-time separate event transplant recipient, liver and kidney.
Yes.
Can you take us back to the beginning of your story and just tell us how it all started?
Yeah, so in grade 12, I was showing symptoms that kind of mimicked arthritis. I'd have really bad joint inflammation, and, I'd be at a a party somewhere in like some small town Sask, but it would have to end up, sitting in, a friend's car because, I couldn't move my joints and it was really quite painful. So kind of through the last half of grade 12, I was 17 and just kind of like not really feeling great. And so, you start your workup and your blood work. So kind of long story short, 2 weeks after graduation, I was finally diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, which is a rare liver disease. And this disease, it's essentially like you've almost had a transplant where your immune system doesn't think your liver is its own and it starts attacking it. So pretty much from day one, you're on immunosuppression, trying to, trick your body into thinking, oh no, that liver's good, leave it alone, don't touch it. So that was when I was 17, summer of 2001. And so basically the treatment for that is, immunosuppression, steroids. And for a lot of people, your disease can go into remission, and you're good to go. No transplant. A transplant is more the last ditch resort if you don't respond to medication. And that was the case for me. But I will say from 21 to 20 or to when I was 25 was when I had the transplant. It was a lot. It was, you're getting your stomach drained because you build ascites. And then of course, as all these things are happening, your kidneys are also taking, a big hit. Your liver and your kidney, they do so much for your body from, filtering toxins and metabolizing things that you eat or medication that is put into your body. So these two, as they're trying to protect my liver, your kidneys will sometimes get the brunt of the bad stuff, which, at that point, there's no dialysis for liver failure. They're basically doing all they can is to try to keep you alive, and well enough that will be a candidate for the liver transplant list. So I eventually went on the list in October of 2008. It's constantly kind of going up and down on the list, and eventually, I got my call. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sleeping and my mom came in and she was shaking me awake. She's like, Brandy, you got a liver. And of course, when you're first like abruptly awakened, you're like, Mom, get out of here. But then I was like, oh, I have a liver. And then, so we didn't have a lot of time to get to Edmonton. We kind of packed up quickly, went to the airport, and plane there, cab ride there, and ended up in Edmonton that day and wheeled in at 4:30. And so that's kind of the quick story of how the liver transplant came to be. Now, of course, when I had the transplant, liver transplants are done in Edmonton, Alberta, if you're from Saskatchewan. So it went really well. There were some complications that lasted almost the entire year. So from March of 2009 to December of 2009, again, lots of just like little things that they were working out with medication. And unfortunately, my kidneys really had taken a hit and they weren't really responding and coming back. So at the end of 2009, they did let me know that, hey, your kidney function is at 26%. You will need to have a kidney transplant like within the next 10 years. That was the time frame they gave me. And so I'm lucky in the sense that I knew it was going to happen. I was on dialysis for 4.5 years, and you get to see a lot of different people come into the unit. Some people that knew that they were going to be there, some that like just over the weekend, their kidneys failed and they showed up there. And that's a really tough mental undertaking to just all of a sudden you're healthy to all of a sudden you're into dialysis. So I was lucky in the sense that I got to mentally prepare for it. And also, whether I wanted it or not, I have an intense knowledge of the medical system, transplant process, medications. I mean, I know all of it. Yes, came out of liver with 26% function. It was 2009. It took me about a year to recover. I was able to go back to school where I finished my graphic design. I had taken 3 years prior, even on my resume, it actually says, like work, school, life hiccup, which will be a liver transplant, and then work, school, and then kidney transplant. Like I listed it on there. Exactly. I wasn't backpacking in Europe, as my mother wanted me to say. I was in the hospital. So I was able to finish my graphic design career, and that I did 2 years in Winnipeg and came back and started my career. I'm always talking with my nephrologist, and he's like, okay, Brandy, whenever you're ready to tap out, you just kind of let me know. You can't start dialysis until you're under 15% kidney function. At that time, I was at 6%, and, still working full time and just like, not wanting to bite that bullet. And then eventually I was just sitting at work one day and I was like, yeah, it's time. I'm like, I haven't been feeling great. And so I walked out and I made the call and I started dialysis the next day. So that's
hemodialysis, is that right?
Hemodialysis, yep, at the Regina General Hospital here in Regina, yeah.
How many days a week did you go initially?
I had always gone 3 days a week and was always hooked up for 3.5 hours. And yeah, that was my reality for 4.5 years. And that's a really long time.
Canadians afflicted by various illnesses depend on organ and tissue donation to survive. In fact, 76% of Canadians waiting for an organ transplant are waiting for a kidney. So, Brandy, you were on dialysis for 4.5 years.
Yes.
When did you get the call?
So I was actually getting ready to go to dialysis. My husband and I, we have both worked from home for forever, but we worked with somebody that, a lot of the same people actually that were working, like Gaspedy at the time. All my friends really that, they were there when I got like my AV fistula, and they knew they're like, Brandy's had a liver, but she's waiting for a kidney. And so anyway, I was getting ready to go to dialysis. My husband was walking the dogs quickly before we left. And so he was already gone. And then the phone rings and I see that it's the Saskatoon, clinic. And I hadn't gone for any blood work. I had no appointments coming up. So I'm just like, why are they calling me? And then I thought, if it's a male voice on the end, this is going to be kidney related because all the coordinators at the time, and I believe still are female. And sure enough, it was a male voice, and I recognized it was Dr. Hussain, Dr. Hussain, who's a nephrologist for post transplants at the St. Paul's nephrology units there. And he's like, hi, Brandy, how are you? And I'm like, oh, good, just playing coy. And he's just like asking me, he's like, are you sick? Any colds? So I said, no, feeling good, feeling great. He's like, okay, well, I think we might have a kidney for you. And I was just like, oh, finally. Like, it wasn't like emotional for me. It was honestly just like I had this checklist of things in my life I needed to do. And, I like at the bottom is Europe. And then in the middle, I'm like, okay, kidney transplant. Like, I just very much was like, oh my goodness, finally. And I was just so excited, but also cautious because one, what to expect to some degree because I had a liver. But sometimes knowing what to expect also is not like you kind of get in your head about things and you know too much. And then there's, of course, like you're feeling, oh gosh, there's like a family with their loved one right now that's like, in a medically induced coma or they're, hooked up. And this is like their second to last day with their person. And that's why you're getting that call. So that goes through your head along with like, once I get there, I had to be there the next day. So I went to dialysis that day. I didn't tell anyone. I just kind of sat there with a little grin on my face. And I was like, this is going to be the last time I'm here. And in my heart, in my gut, I knew that was going to be the last time. I knew the kidney was going to go through with it. I had that feeling. And so, yeah, I didn't say anything to the nurses or, the staff is always changing, but I just kind of went. I took a picture of my last dialysis session and that was that. That's the last time I was ever there. And so the next morning we had to be there. We left Regina at like 5:30. We had to be there for 8. We got there at 8 and to 7:30 at night, we waited for this news if the person had passed, if the organs were viable. And yeah, obviously they were. 7:30 rolls in and the doctor comes in with, very exhausted because, it's been a day for him too. And he said, it's a go. We're good to go. And then my husband and I just looked at each other and we're like, okay, we got to start texting people quickly because he's like, okay, 15 minutes. And so I hadn't told anybody at that point. Again, I didn't want to get people's hopes up. I didn't want to get my hopes up and then have to tell everybody that it wasn't to go. So yeah, I text my core group of friends. I put a post out on Facebook. That's where I usually update everybody on what's happening with my organs and whatnot. And then that was that. And then, yeah, I woke up the next morning. The surgery went great. I think I was in the hospital for maybe 9 days. And of course, there's hiccups here and there. But yeah, I got out, I think it was 9 days later, and still have my little bean with me. And yeah, now I'm just, trying to do things with my time that of course give me joy, but also give me back. I felt ever since my liver, I have a debt to pay.
It's amazing with your story, how it's come full circle now to you being the designer for the 5-year anniversary, Green Shirt Day t-shirt. Reflections on that.
Yeah, well, I definitely think about that. When the crash happened, I was on dialysis. I don't think I was listed yet for an organ, but the boys were going, Humboldt Broncos, and they're traveling, to Nipawin. I was born in Nipawin, so, I have, memories there. So, I mean, it's not a lot. I don't hear my hometown a lot. So, it started with these little things about Nipawin, and then me working at Real District at the time, which is where all the hockey takes place in Regina, the Regina Pats. It's where our CFL stadium is. The whole property is called Real District, and I was a creative director there. So my very first, touch of creativeness came when our marketing team had to put together, we put together posters and that were all across our property that were all Humboldt strong. So, that's kind of how it started with how the graphic design and Green Shirt Day came to be, was this really intimate thing with making their posters and the memorial pieces and the photos, to then, a year later, because I had worked at Real and everybody was really moved by, that and, organ donation, we bought the green shirts for everybody. And then myself and our storyteller at the time, Sabine Ahmed, we went in front of the Humboldt Broncos clip. And that was the first time the Boulets saw me, and I created a video. Basically, I know they hadn't had anybody reach out that were their recipients. And there was so much about organ donation and people signing up that I wanted to put a face to the recipients and somewhat say, thank you for shining a light on us. And in a lack of a better words, there isn't a marketing campaign that could have done what they continued to do. And so it was just it's something that I wanted to do. And that's kind of how I got talking with Toby, was that they asked if they could use that video at galas. And that's kind of what sparked our relationship. Now this Green Shirt, the 5 years. So it's kind of every couple of years we're kind of lining up and doing what we, I guess, maybe are meant here to kind of do. And now I get to, I'm not on dialysis, I'm not out of surgery, I'm just living my life now. And this is how I'm giving back.
I think you're a poster person, let's say, for post-transplant. And we will think of you on April 7th as we're proudly wearing those t-shirts. I've got my order in. So
beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. And yeah, I have my jersey on the way along with my my test shirt here. So got that going. And yeah, I'm ready for this year and I can't wait to see everybody participate.